After Lucifer Morningstar defies the presence and initiating the never-ending battle between heaven and hell, the multiverse begins to prosper and life begins to form across the universe. Around 18 billion years ago, the old gods originated from God world, also known as Ergren, the first world. 3 billion years later, the first world slowly segued into the second world as the humanoid life forms on God world attained godhood, thus becoming the old gods. Leader of the old gods was Wotan, also known as Odin. Affiliated with Odin was also Arzaz, the first old god of order, Gog, and Sirius. The opposition was Yuga Khan, ruler of Ergren. Eve, Mageddon, the war machine. The Nameless One, the first old god of chaos. Siva, last of the old gods. And Loki, son of Odin, god of mischief. After 10 billion years of the age of the old gods, Loki declared war on God world, bringing forth Ragnarok. And so the war begins. The old gods fighting ferociously to stop Loki, with many perishing in battle. The battle was so intense that it destroyed God world, killing the old gods. The explosion sent ripples throughout the universe, ripples known as God Wave. God Wave seeded the world with potential to bring forth gods of their own. Such a world was Earth, produced its own god 35,000 years after God Wave passed through Earth. This was the beginning of the third world. The remnant of God world will create 2 new planets, Apocalypse and New Genesis. The denizens of the planets would eventually gain godhood, mirroring that of the old gods, but split in morale. New Genesis, dedicated to peace and goodness, led by Highfather. Apocalypse, a fiery hellish-like planet, dedicated to a cruel, warlike culture, governed by Darkseid. These new gods were the start of the fourth world. Although the old gods are long believed to be dead and gone, events have shown some have survived their extinction. Arzaz fled Ergren before its destruction and chose to live on a planet named Naphtali as a monk in solitude. Until the Genesis event, Arzaz returned to his god form and assisted the heroes of Earth and Tachyon against Darkseid and the Nameless One, another old god. He was ultimately defeated by the Nameless One, his fellow old god, and imprisoned into the Source Wall. God fled God world before its destruction and traveled through the multiverse until he landed on Earth 22. There he was entombed in molten rock until a young explorer, William Matthews, revived him. Sirius survived the destruction of Urgrund and roamed the underground tunnels of Apocalypse, killing all who ventured down there. Sirius then finds a child, Mr. Miracle, and spares his life as he sensed good in the child. Sirius died protecting Orion's life, finally being released from his internal imprisonment. Eve was imprisoned into the Source Wall. The Nameless One, surviving the destruction of Urgrund, chose to live on Earth until the Genesis event. He then joined forces with Darkseid, but was ultimately defeated by Arsaas and imprisoned into the Source Wall as well. Siva, the Dancer of Destruction, roamed the cosmos after the destruction of Urgrund. When the new gods rose, Siva fell asleep under the Sea of New Genesis for eons.